As has been reported lately, the Xbox brand might be at a crossroads. Layoffs potentially looming, fans frustrated, and Microsoft's vision for gaming is just starting to look a little cloudy these days, I got to be honest. And so, really, there's a big question. I mean, is this the beginning of the end for Xbox? Is it over? Or maybe just the messy birth of what's going to become a bold new strategy someday in the future? Well, in this video, I just wanted to break down a little bit talking about the predicted layoffs and dissect some of Xbox's crumbling business identity, perhaps, or ask some tough questions that the gaming world needs answered. So let's dive right into it. A big core part of this video coming to light is that I was seeing on news and straight from the source, Blue Sky, Jason Schreier mentioning that Xbox's fiscal year end is ending today-ish on June 30, so just the other day, and mass layoffs that on Bloomberg News reported last week, they're expected to hit. And that means tomorrow, Wednesday, um, July 2nd, we might hear news about more Xbox layoffs. This isn't the first time this has happened recently for Xbox. So it starts to become concerning from both an investor perspective, but likely also for a um, consumer perspective that the brand really seems to be struggling. And we know that because of the fact that they continue to restructure or change internally kind of how they're doing things. So yeah, I mean, that was a big piece of news, I think, to see, and one that for me has not been super unsurprising. And so I wanted to share kind of a few things about Xbox's identity as a brand currently that I kind of sit on and conclude on, and so let's just dive right into those. I mean, one of the big things that's been part of Xbox's vision currently has been this concept that everything can be an Xbox. And when this was first the idea pitched forward towards the beginning of this generation, I thought it sounded pretty interesting and a very bold way to do business. But it seems that there have been some barriers along the way that have plateaued for Xbox in this sense. And so a big part of it is that Xbox, it's no longer just a console, it's a service and an ecosystem. And part of that has been Xbox, moving to more cloud infrastructure, more service-based offerings, and moving their services also into third-party hardware, like MetaQuest, or the Asus ROG Ally, I think the phones, right? And that's making Xbox more accessible across devices. But a big part of that is, while there is more accessibility, what is an Xbox? That becomes a bigger question. And your average consumer that couldn't tell you what the difference between the Wii and the Wii U was, they're going to be hit with that confusion. And so it's something that I don't think really Xbox has been able to maintain as successfully as they try to move into the service, is to keep that differentiation between the hardware and the software when they're only offering one half of that process. And so it's been kind of challenging from the outside lens to watch them struggle to maintain the hardware side of their business, when in my perspective, that is such an important part. It's the bread to the butter. You need both of those in order to build successful brand identity for the people purchasing your products, right? And so that's been tough. Another big thing is that Game Pass has become Xbox's core offering, front and center of their business. And again, when Game Pass launched, fantastic concept. Cloud-based subscription service, similar to like Netflix for gaming. You offer a vast library of titles for a monthly fee, and players can play whatever they want from that. And from a consumer perspective, for game players, this is fantastic. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better than that, when especially game prices continue to go up and up and up. I mean, today you'll buy a game, and one game can be $100. And so in that world where the subscription is monthly, some smaller portion of that, well, yeah, it sounds fantastic. And you're getting access to both classics and brand new titles as they come out. So that's a very impressive offering. But this strategy banks a lot on recurring revenue and user retention over, your one-time game or hardware sales. And the struggle with that is that if you have a person who's going to get Game Pass for a new game coming out because they want to play it, how can you guarantee that they're going to keep the service long enough in order to net back that sale that they would have purchased from the lens of buying this game or that game. And then not only that, but they're no longer buying this game or that game. They're getting both of those games on the same service. So you need to lock in that person for many, many, many months in order to net the same recurring revenue that you would have gotten from a one-time sale. And I think that it's risky from the lens of a one-time sale is guaranteed money. You're just getting it. But for retention-focused service, you have to continue to provide service to that person that wants it. Otherwise, they'll cancel and then you won't get that recurring revenue anymore. It's very challenging. And also your metrics of success becomes essentially one of two things, your user retention, but also when a new game is published, how many new subscribers are we getting? And the problem is that as of now, Game Pass, I would presume, is about as saturated as it's going to get, meaning you have about as many people subscribing to the service as you could probably get in terms of like there's an upper limit, like you're not going to continue to grow, 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 grow. And as a result, this metric, I believe, is likely misguiding the brand into, saying, oh, these games are failing, they're not performing as well, and making bad decisions, such as laying people off at certain companies. A game comes out that's a massive success, and then they lay off the whole team. I mean, these things are just not making sense when you look at the micro level of what's going on in the business. And I think if they had just a standard business model for a lot of their games where they were selling them piecemeal here, piecemeal there, they'd probably be making different decisions internally based on the information they're getting from that performance data. And so that's a struggle I think that we're seeing with the Xbox brand and trying to utilize Game Pass. It's like its core business success metric. Um, and then there's also, other issues coming along the way. We've seen this more recently with like cross-platform publishing of games. Great example is Forza Horizon 5. Excellent game, super fun to play. It's now on PlayStation and Nintendo platforms. And this is signaling a big shift again from this hardware lock-in model to more software monetization. But in the long term, again, this presents a challenge from both the brand and consumer loyalty perspective, but also ensuring that people want to play on the consoles. Because if you can get all of these titles on PlayStation, then from my perspective, you buy a PC and then you can play all the Xbox games, or you have a PlayStation and now you're going to get all the PlayStation exclusives, but you're also going to get the Xbox games eventually. And usually the later version of the game you get is better because it's been patched. There's DLC, there's updates, there's bundle editions where now you have everything included. So as long as you're a little patient, you get the best game out of it. And so you take all these pieces, you work in also the cloud gaming and Windows integration structure that they're currently going for. And Windows, yes, has a clear dominance in the world of gaming. And so attempting to push and unify gaming libraries across PC and console. And again, working with other hardware providers to bring Xbox as a brand, as software into their hardware. It's just in my perspective, it's a bit of a mess. And, a big part of that is that my takeaways have always been, you know, in an art-driven industry, such as video games, business doesn't always need to be about money. And it's easy to say that when I'm not part of that business. And surely I would say that if you're a game developer or an artist or something, it's easier to have that perspective than those from the finance lens. But there's a lot of struggles with running a game development company in the budgeting world, in the funding series world, and just ensuring that you have the proper base to pay your employees. Not stress about crunching through a game to make it successful or so on. And I think that it's been challenging with Xbox's current business trajectory to properly support their subsidiaries and developers and such that are making games in-house. And that's why we've seen so many issues and delays and quality management problems with recent Xbox timed exclusives, I guess is what we'll call them at this point. And so, yes, business doesn't always need to be about money, but when you are a subsidiary of Microsoft in the way that Xbox is, the conversation is going to often be about money, and it has to be because as a public company, they're going to have obligations to their public shareholders, And so Xbox is going to continue to work on and push towards this business model, but I find it a challenging one for them to maintain success under. I'll be honest. And yes, Xbox's strategy might be boosting short-term gains for the company, but it's clear to see that it's risking alienating its consumer base and also losing ground in the brand identity space as they move away from um, Xbox. And I just think that's crazy because I grew up um, in the PlayStation 2 generation. The Xbox was like this powerhouse kind of niche console that came out of nowhere. At least as a kid, everyone had a PS2. And then you had this buddy who had the Xbox, and it was powerful, it was cool, it was weird, it had a giant controller. And then 360 came along and just defined an entire generation. And so it's really crazy, one, to see the brand struggle so much. And secondly, to know that it creates a vacuum where PlayStation as and Sony as a company, they don't have a competitive force to kind of keep them on track. And that's a big concern for me as well. But all things considered, those are my perspectives. Shame if we hear about layoffs tomorrow. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But there seems to be a lot of reporting around that. And so I just wanted to share my perspective. I'm curious your perspective on just kind of how things have been going with Xbox as a brand. This isn't the first time there's been layoffs and business issues, and I feel like this is something I see in the news more than issues around PlayStation. And you can only compare dollar for dollar, right? And that's just what I'm seeing. So would love to know your perspective. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Would love to have you join this small community here. And otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Take care, everyone. Bye.